these walls get established and you have a roof, you have to dig deeper and create foundations. And the longer or the taller the building is, the deeper you have to dig into the ground. Why? Because that foundations need to be solid. And he, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, as if he's speaking to us in current terms, he's saying, Bunya al-Islam, Islam is established on these 5 main pillars. And he, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, says, Ash-shahadatain, or shahada, the declaration of faith. That's the first thing. When someone wants to, non-Muslim wants to embrace Islam, the first thing they'll say, do they start praying or they declare the faith first? They say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship but Allah, and I bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is the last of prophets. Correct? That's the first thing they do. What's the second thing the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ mentions? He says, wa iqamatu salah, or iqam as-salah. I'm paraphrasing. The establishment of prayer. Establishment. So you declare the faith, then you start praying, and then he says, ita'u zakah, and to pay the alms or zakah, wa salmu Ramadan, and to fast the months of Ramadan, and to perform hajj for those who are capable of doing it. Financially, mentally, health-wise also. If they are capable of doing so, that's, they should do it. But see the sequence, the second thing comes is prayer. Imagine this building that you just established your home, and one of the 5 main pillars is weak, is hush, it's really thin. You fast the month of Ramadan, you pay zakat, and you declare the shahada, and you haven't done hajj yet, time didn't come yet. But you pillar, this prayer is weak. If an earthquake happens, or you have a lot of furniture, you have a lot of people come to the house, what's going to happen? The foundation will tip. It might demolish. It might fall on your head. You might die. So that's why this foundation needs to be established properly, and actually comes second. After declaration of faith, prayer is the most important thing to hold on to in Islam. The Prophet, all of us, we know that we are in transitional life. We live 70, 80, 90, 100 years, how long you live. Eventually we're going to die, we're going to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, in the meaning of which, أَوَّلُ مَا يُحَاسِبُ عَلَيْهِ الْعَبْدِ. Look at the importance of prayer. The first thing Allah will hold you accountable for is your prayer. If it's sound, if it's healthy, done on time, consciously, done right, then the rest of your actions will be sound and healthy. But if it's corrupt, it's rusty, not done on time, Fajr always after sunrise, and we combine it all the time, and I'm not conscious in it, then the rest of the actions, no matter how active you were, they're corrupt, they're useless. You see the importance? You want me to highlight the importance to you? Listen to this. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to convey any message to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we know that he sent even the Quran. Allah trusted whom to send the Quran with using which method? It came through Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam, right? Allah will give the verses to Sayyidina Jibreel, and Sayyidina Jibreel comes from heavens he comes to this earth, and he delivers the verses. Over the span of 23 years, fasting was prescribed through the Quran. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyamu kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. Oh, you believe, fasting has been prescribed upon you just like the people who came before you, so you might attain piety, you might attain taqwa. Right? If we fast properly, that's the outcome. We should get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Hajj, the same thing, you will see there. So all these mandates that came through the Quran, Allah is telling Sayyidina Jibreel the verses, and Sayyidina Jibreel comes down with these verses, and he comes to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with exception to one thing. If you are in a country that they're about to go to war, for example, we live in the US, the Congress need to study that, and they bring their ambassadors of that country, and they start talking to them, because it's a very important thing. Why? They have a message to convey, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى, Allah has the best of examples. I'm just trying to, so you can relate to it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when was prayer dictated or revealed to us or mandated upon us? Is it on this earth? No. Through the Quran? No. Through Sayyidina Jibreel? No. prayer was mandated during the trip of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-Isra wal-Mi'raj, where the Prophet went from Mecca to Jerusalem, and he led all the prophets in the prayer, and then he was ascended to the heavens. And then Sayyidina Jibreel was his tour guide. You know, if you go with a tourism tour or so on a tour, you have this tourist guide, and he'll take you and show you around and so on and so forth, right? So that was Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam was showing the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam through the heavens, the first heaven, the second heaven, third heaven, fourth heaven, Sayyidina Yusuf in the fourth heaven, and so on and so forth. And then they reached to the seventh heaven, and they reached to a place called Sidrat al-Muntaha, and then they stopped. Sayyidina Jibreel stopped, and the Prophet proceeded, he moved forward, and then he looks back, or he looks at the Sayyidina Jibreel, and he tells him, how come you're stopping? And he said, oh Muhammad, I want to let you know that you are going into a place no human being, no jinn, no ins, no angel have ever stepped into before, and I can't take one step further. If I do, I might get burned or so. I never, no one ever reached that place. And it's only you, O Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, allowed to do so. And he goes. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why? He has a meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah wants to deliver something to the Prophet, not through a mediator. The one thing that was dictated on us was salah. Not on this earth, but in the seventh heaven. And it's not through a mediator, but directly from Allah to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when we come today, Fatima, Ahmed, Aisha, Marwa, Munir, all of us, when we come today, when we reflect upon the story of the Prophet, the miraculous story, we need to reflect upon it. Man, prayer must be that important that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't even tell Sayyidina Jibreel to tell the Prophet. He didn't even send it through the Quran, but actually directly communicated, hand delivered to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because so when we reflect upon this story, you understand the importance of it. So when time comes to pray dhuhr, man, that game is not more important. That football game, that basketball game, shopping in the mall, walking, studying, whatever it might be, it's not more important than salah. Because Allah, I can tell from the story that Allah wants us to pay extra attention to this prayer. So I'll do it on time, consciously. I'm attentive to it. I'm attentive. It's this great pillar. If I don't do it, I'm weak. Then my Islam, no matter how pretty my hijab is, how long my beard is, or how pious I look in front of people, how much I donate, something grave, major problem I have. Not praying or not praying on time. I'll end but to highlight the importance, just to make sure that, because for the sake of time, the Prophet Muhammad was telling Sayyidina Mu'adh ibn Jabal, Ala adullah, he was telling him, shouldn't I tell you about the most important, Mu'adh ibn Jabal was a very inquisitive person. He would ask, oh Prophet, what about this, what about this, what about this? And then the Prophet ﷺ tells him, should I tell you about the most important thing? And he said, oh Prophet of Allah, yes, that's what I want. He said, the most important thing in your life is your faith, is Islam. Ra'sul amri al-Islam. The head of all matters is Islam. وَعَمُودُهُ الصَّلَاةِ. And the pillar that holds it, that holds this head, is prayer. That pillar is prayer. Imagine this head that you have, or if you go camping, you have a tent and you have this pillar that's holding it. If that pillar is not there, what happens? The tent will collapse on you, and you might suffocate if there's no air. And the most important, said, Amud, the pillar of this faith is salah. So it can't be weak. It can't be delayed. It can't be forgotten. It has to be understood. We understand its meaning, understand its place in Islam, the importance of it. Okay? So we can apply it better, inshallah. I'll move. I hope that this is clear enough for you guys. I'll move to the next step. Once we understood the meaning, and we understand the importance of it, we live in a materialistic world. How many of us say, what's in it for me? What I'm going to get out of it? I'm not getting closer to Allah. I'm not, what is it that